This is a video on how to retrofit your center strut so that your bladders don't slip down and pop. I would rather use the Cabrinha original bladders, but they have been out of stock for a while and they haven't sent me one. So this is, I called Airtime, and this is their bladder that they make. They had them in stock and they sent them out right away, and they've been very helpful on customer service.
All right, as you guys can see here, my 6.2 is finally back in action. The center strut blew out. What you need to do with this is you need to retrofit it. I have already retrofitted this wing, this bladder. You can see I added this little string right at the leading edge, and that keeps the strut from falling back down, getting a little twist, and then popping. I am going to take this all apart and redo it for you guys now that I know how to do it, just for YouTube. And it is such a pain in the rear, but I'm going to do it for you guys because I love you. The tools you're going to need for this, probably a pair of scissors. You're going to need something pointy, but not too pointy. You need about, this is a good width actually, maybe like 3 millimeters, 2 millimeters, I don't know. Something you can heat up with a lighter so you can burn a little hole right into this spot on the bladder before the leading edge connection. Now you have to be very, very careful when you do that, because you do not want to go into your leading edge bladder, which would not be that hard to do. So you just heat this up, make sure you have it like a little pot holder or something so your hand doesn't get burned. And you're just gonna poke a little hole right there, boom. Being careful not to go through anything, okay? Other materials you're gonna need include a string. This is actually the thread I use for stronger repairs, this V69 polyester. This is actually working really well to fit through that small hole. And then also you need some sort of like cord, like really thin cord. This is actually a little too thick, but it's all I had around the house. So something like this to attach to the bladder. So you're going to attach these to the bladder so you can retrieve it and pull it back up into the wing. When Airtime sends you a bladder, it comes in this really nice little package in this thick plastic, which is nice because my mailman actually shoved it into the mailbox, and so you don't want it puncturing the bladder. And then it comes with a little read this, which talks about how the center struts blow up. And then it also gives you the strut installation. The strut installation guidelines do not have the instructions on how to retrofit though, so I'm going to teach you guys that. It also comes with 2 strings to tie to the bladder if you need to, if your old bladder doesn't have a string. And it come with the Mantis one, actually came with the zip lock as well to put around the valve and hose, which is pretty nice. So yeah, I've already opened it up, I've already installed it. I just wanted to show you guys the packaging and what comes with it. It's a good looking bladder. It's not, you know, OEM. It's not the original manufacturer, but it's it looks pretty durable and whatnot. This is what happens to them. So this part is not attached to anything, so it falls down because the only thing attached inside the wing is the valve. So it falls down a little bit, and then when you blow it up, it gets a kink, and you have a huge blowout, which you can see is not good. Interestingly enough, there is actually on this bladder a place to put the string already. They just didn't have it in there. So what you need to do is you need to put a string onto here to keep it from falling down. And then you're going to retrofit the wing by making a little hole right here. But yeah, you're just gonna take something small metal, like a needle or something like that, heat it up, making sure you do not puncture the leading edge. And you're just gonna make a little hot hole in there, and that will seal the fabric. After you take out the center strut that's blown up, you're gonna do that. The trickiest thing in this whole process, and maybe there's a better way to do this, but I haven't found it yet, is you're going to have to get this string down this hole and then out the other end so you can bring the strut back up into the wing. I just threaded it into this little hole, and then I got it by the valve and I pulled it out, and then I continued threading it from the valve all the way down, and then held the wing up, and it just actually went straight down. And then you're going to tie another cord to this valve so you can pull the valve up where it belongs, okay? So I'm going to take this apart and I'm going to show you guys how to do it. So first things first, you need all of the air out of the bladder. Every wing is different in how they are attached. So you'll have to, go to YouTube and try and find your specific one. This is the Cabrinha Mantis, and it's got this little cover right here over the valve. You're going to pull this back, and then there will be a hose attached to the valve, and it's going to have a little Ziploc tie on it. You can try and cut the Ziploc tie off, or you can kind of just pull it. If you pull, it'll pop off. And don't worry about that Ziploc tie, because your Cabrinha Mantis should come with some more, or Airtime will send you one in the package. After you get that off, there's a little C-clamp here. You're just going to take this little C-clamp off. So you take that off, set that aside. Now you're going to push this through, but before you do that, you're going to take your regular cord. You want a fairly strong cord. Just like I said, it's a little bit too big. And then just do a little fisherman knot around it, around the valve. Don't cinch it up just yet, because we still have to just work the valve through. And you kind of have to twist it a little bit, try and get it down there. Don't push too hard, you don't want to rip it or anything. Okay, so you're going to shove the valve down there and have your string attached still. So like I said, I've already made the hole here. Imagine that's not there, there's no hole here, okay? So what you would do at this point is you're going to take out the bladder. So come down to the other end, and you're going to open this up. There's a little Velcro in here. Unhook the Velcro, pull this out, and you'll see, well, you should see, the bladder up here. So I've actually had the bladder sink down, so I need to attach that better. Some of the wing manufacturers actually have a string to tie the bladder to this side too, which you obviously should have as well. On my F1, I was trying to keep it from falling down at the front, and I was squeezing it to the back when I pumped it up, and then I ended up having it fall down here and blowing out this end. So, that's the next thing they'll have to figure out. All right, so I found the bladder here. I'm gonna have to make sure I find a good way to attach this so it doesn't happen again. And you just pull the bladder out. And we're pretending this is the old bladder. I'm gonna have to unstick it a little bit here and there. When you get to the end here, it gets a little bit stuck with the valve, so you just gotta be a little more gentle. I'm not telling you guys, this really is the pain in the rear of this repair. I tried filming a tutorial yesterday, and I just couldn't get it. I had to call Airtime and have them send me some pictures and talk to me. Really nice guys over there. I told them I'd try and do a video for them because they haven't got one up yet. I'm sure they'll do one soon too. This is not the official video. Okay, so you get this out. You're gonna get out your old bladder. So you'll see you have the string attached to the valve, so now you can pull it back in. I've got another string attached because I've already done the next part of the repair. This is the string that goes to the leading edge. Let's pretend I haven't done that. So after you get the old bladder out, that's when you're going to do your little hot hole right here. You're going to make a little hot hole with like a hot needle or a hot something, a couple of millimeters wide, and you're just going to poke it right there, okay? Okay, so you're going to take your thinner thread, you're going to thread it down into this hole. If you need to, you can try and get it out of this little valve right here, the valve hole, and get a little bit more slack. Then start feeding it down the length of there. You'll have to hold the wing up And so that way gravity will send it down. If you can get the string out of this valve hole, which you can, thread it through here, get it out of the valve hole, you can actually tie a washer to it, and that will help with gravity to get it down the bladder. Once you get that other string down to the outside, it's going to come out here. You're going to look at the bladder. There's actually two places to tie the string, so you can actually do the hole on the back side or the front side. I like the front side. You have the valve here, the seam here. Take that string that comes with the bladder, or the one on your old bladder, and you're going to thread it through this hole. Don't tie a knot in it because we have to get it back through the hole up at the front. Just do a lark's head and pull it really tight. We have the string tied to the hole that goes up at the front, and then we have a cord tied to the valve which goes through the valve hole. Now, this is the part that's made it so frustrating for me, is trying to get the bladder in without any twists. And I've had to do it multiple times, so I'm just going to tell you what worked for me. So there's multiple methods to this. I've seen people fold this in. That wasn't working for me. So what I'm going to do is try and lay this out as straight as I can. Always being conscious of which seam goes where. So I'm going to know that this is airtime upside down, and if you need to fold it over or whatever. This seam is going to end up at the front at the top, so this should be facing up. This, you know, it's going to be on the side. But I was having trouble trying to put it in the side. It almost works better when I insert it facing down. And then as I'm inserting the bladder, I was being conscious to sort of keep twisting it this way, which is like, depending on which way you look, it's counterclockwise from over here. I think it's clockwise from over there. But because I kept having to twist right at the valve. So let's try that. And it's easier with two people, but I'm by myself here. So let's start getting the lines pulled in. Okay, so that one's pretty tight. Pull this one in. Now it doesn't need to be as tight yet because it's further back. And just fold these in on themselves a little bit. I don't know the right way to do this because, like I said, this has been the hardest part. Insert it in, being conscious of the seam being up. So really just come down center line from over here. It's actually pretty far over that is up. So err on the side of going too far over. And I tried all kinds of different methods, and for me, just kind of shoving it in seems to work the best. And just always be conscious of where is that seam. Seam is at the top, that's what we want. You're trying not to get any twists, because that's a pain. Sometimes you can save it, but you might have to take the whole thing out. Once you get it in a little bit, hold this, come back down here, and pull your strings up. Once you get tension, and you start feeding some more. And actually, you can really feed it the whole way after you pull it up once. At least I was able to last time. Always be conscious, where's that seam? And our writing is in the right spot still. Like I said, be kind of pushing it away as you go. I might not have done it enough, actually. So I had the issue with this. It's not really clear. Catching the bladder, it's kind of got a weird end to it here. The Cabrinha just ends normally. So it's not really clear how to fold this over. So like you do it like this so it doesn't catch. but last time it fell through, so I'm not really sure how to do it. Let's just try tucking it. Folding this over, shoving it in, and then finding that Velcro. So now that that's done, you come over here, and don't tie this yet, but you will tie some knots right here so that it can't slip down. But we gotta make sure there's no twist in the bladder or anything. So take this string, you want to pull up your valve. This sport is so gear intensive, definitely more gear intensive even than kite surfing when it was starting out in its infancy. I'm hoping that they start making everything beefier. I'm gonna make a t-shirt that says beefy and sell it so I can pay for kites or wings. Take your pump, and then there's this little adapter that's got like a needle nose. Stick that into this extra valve, extra hose they give you. Attach that to your pump, and stick it onto the valve, and then pump it up slowly. See if you can get this figured out. Always try and pump with your stuff straight up so you don't get twist. And since this is the first time, really slow, and you might have to massage it here and there to hopefully not get any twist. Let's see how good a job we did if we get no twist. It'll be a miracle. Just massage here so everything fills in. Actually looking pretty good. No, you can see we have a twist right there. So I'll take some air out. But as long as there's no twist here, we might be able to salvage that. Oh, actually, not taking care of itself. So you just want to check here because I was getting a lot of twist and it was pulling the valve in. This actually looks pretty good. You can take off this string. Tie a few knots here so that it can't slip back through. You'll take off this part, reattach this valve all the way. That needs to go all the way up. You'll put this zip tie around it and then just hang tighten it to keep it from coming loose. Put this over and you should be good to go. So that's it. We're going to double check that though real quick. It did stay attached this time. So whatever I did that time worked. The first time it fell through. Hopefully this bladder lasts. Maybe they'll be really cool and send me another one since I did this video. Cabrinha should be sending me another one. They just didn't have bladders. Look, I love your wings, Cabrinha. But the customer service could be a little better. I can say that because they don't sponsor me. They want to give me some free wings then. They're great customer service. They did get back to me. It just took them a long time to admit that they didn't have any bladders, which I don't know why they didn't just tell me that at the beginning. Looks like there's a little twist there, but it's working itself out. I can always take out the end of the bladder and try and fix that. One thing I just wanted to note was you could always inflate your wing after you do a repair to the recommended PSI and just leave it for a couple of hours. See if it leaks, see if anything happens, and just one way to double check your work. See you guys out in the water.